What's up, everybody? It's Matthew Newman, aka Mr. Catch on Fire, and the I Just Want to Record podcast. Come kick back and enjoy conversations with folks about the complex and, yes, sometimes mundane intricacies of life, all meant to inspire you. Raina Carrillo, people should know who you are. Who are you?
I'm Raina from Inglewood.
I like how we start.
Yes, Raina from Inglewood. But who am I? I am a community leader. I am a mother of 5 children, a wife, you know what I mean? A sister, and a person that is always loyal to the soil. Yes, on so many levels, whether it's business, friendship, community, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm a very loyal individual, and I have a huge heart for people.
Wow. So being loyal to the soil, that's we'll start there.
Yes.
But then also knowing more about you in several different areas, from you being a mother of 5, yes. You having an autistic child.
Yes.
That's an area of your life. You being an entrepreneur, you being a gang interventionist.
Yes.
Also a previous or past mayoral candidate for the city of Inglewood.
Yes.
We have a lot to talk through today.
Yes,
so
we do.
we prayerfully, y'all, will get through all of these talking points, as we've said on previous episodes, is that sometimes we may have to bring this back for part 2.
Yes.
But let's see how much we can dive into today. First, starting with you being a mother of 5, one who advocates for children with autism. Walk us through what that means to you and what has been the best part of motherhood for you.
Oh, man. Well, let me start with the best part of motherhood. You know, in the beginning, like when I first got married, I couldn't bear children. You know what I mean? So I had like 4 miscarriages per se, you know? And so with that, I remember, you know, at the time I was Catholic, and I just remember going to St. John's on Florence, and that's my family church. And my mom says, you know what, Raina, just, you know, give flowers to the Virgin Mary and, you know, pray to her. That's Jesus' mother. And then you go to the middle of the church where you see the crucifixion and you pray to God like no tomorrow. And so I did what she told me. I took these herbs because my family from Louisiana, so they believe in herbs. Yeah. And I remember religiously praying day and night and taking my herbs 3 times a day and just letting God know, thank you in advance for my baby. And boy, let me tell you, I got pregnant, I believe 3 weeks after that.
Wow.
You know, and God blessed me with twins.
Wow.
And you don't understand motherhood until the babies come out your womb crying. That moment is a priceless moment that I believe every mother, you know, that can bear a child will be experiencing. That is like, you can't even put something on it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just freaking, like, the word is, man, I can't even think of a word right now, you know? So for me, motherhood was when I first heard my twins come out my womb. And then God blessed me with Giselle, and then God blessed me again with 2 twin boys. So, you know, being a mother of 5, 2 sets of twins and a daughter is very overwhelming. But like they say, welcome to motherhood. Yeah. When you become a mother, you're no longer, it's not about you, it's about your children. And so just knowing that in my own mind, I am a goddess. You know, I am a goddess. I produce my babies. Yeah. And now my job is to raise them the best way I can, to believe in God and to be great humans on this earth, because we're coming to a world where the world is becoming chaotic more and more. Yeah. But I always say to my children, all we need is one person that believes in God, 2, 3, 4, 5, to keep the positive stuff going. Love, you know, don't judge, help people, you know, go to the prison and give back. You know, when you're with the unhoused community, go ahead and pass out those socks and blankets. Yeah. So they see my work, and that's my legacy will be that when I leave this earth, that will be my legacy for my children to continue to be good Samaritans.
So tell me this. So from concept to conception, or conception, all of that, do you consider that to be a struggle phase of motherhood, even from the beginning of not being able to conceive? Like, was that a struggle for you? If so,
Yes.
how did that prepare you for the struggles of motherhood? I'm sure there have been some challenges. So how did that challenge prepare you for the challenges that are to come, or the challenges that arise in motherhood?
So for me, because I'm a very spiritual person, like I believe in, Jesus, and I like to say his true name, Yahshua. You know what I mean? I love to say his name. He is my foundation. He is, like, people have deities. Well, he's my deity. You know what I mean? And the foundation of the Bible, basic instruction before leaving earth, everything is in there. So when I couldn't conceive, I was battling with God, not an angry, but more of a frustration and hurt.
Yeah.
Like, I am a woman, I should bear fruit.
Yeah.
Because you say, to multiply. Well, that's my job as a woman, is to multiply. So I wasn't able to do that. And so when I started looking in the Bible, I started to realize, they say in the Bible, it says that a woman, when she has a child, like when she can bear fruit, it's a blessing.
Yes.
Not every woman is going to be blessed to have that. It doesn't say all women in the Bible are going to be blessed. So I had to realize that and check myself. Well, maybe I'm not one of those blessed women. It doesn't mean that I'm cursed. It just means that I won't be blessed to have that opportunity, because it is a blessing. People don't understand. People think, like, oh man, my Gucci shoes, it's a blessing. I got, no, a blessing is beyond material items. You know what I mean? And so, so once I kind of sat and read that Bible and understood that I might not be that blessed woman to bear fruit, I became kind of content, right? But at the same time, I continued to pray because I had faith, right? If I have faith, a size of a mustard seed, hoping God could just bless me anyways. That was my mentality, my mentality. So my mom gave me them herbs and she told me to do whatever I had to do. And I did it and I followed her. But I remember one thing that I did differently is when I prayed for my baby, I just wanted one, but God gave me two. I told God, if you give me one child, Father God, I promise to you, I will give my son or daughter back to you, meaning to raise them to believe in him.
Yeah.
So it was like an offering. And I believe that's why he answered it, because it wasn't being selfish. It was like, I'm willing to give something to you, Lord, if you can give something to me. And I believe in my heart, that's why he answered my prayer, because it was an offering saying, hey, I'm going to give my children back to you, meaning I'm going to raise them, to believe in you and tell them the story of what's going to go down. And so when I got pregnant, I had no idea, because I was in the ghetto Centinela hospital with no ultrasound sound.
Wow. And
the ultrasound thing was in the back of me. And my husband was in front of me, and I had told her I had, four miscarriages, meaning like two of them had heartbeat, but the next month they died in me. And then the other two were defects, meaning it was a baby, but it was no heart developed at all, Wow. So I said, in my mind at that time, I was ready. I was not in a good place in my marriage. So I had told God when I got there, I said, God, if my baby is dead, I'm leaving my husband and I'm moving solo, because it's just not working out. And I said, but if I'm pregnant, I will stay and hold on to this marriage, And honey, he has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
He gave me 2 babies. Wow. And I did not divorce.
Wow.
Yeah. But how it happened was the lady was, on my stomach with ultrasound, like, the twins run in your family, does triplets run in your family? I'm like, yeah, they do, but I had no idea, because I was thinking the worst.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, congratulations, Raina, you're having twins. So when my husband, his eyeballs got big, I thought he saw a dead baby, not a heartbeat. That's what I was assuming. But then his eyes were big, and then she said what she said, and congratulations, you're having twins. And all I could do was cry, because I was like, I'm not ready for 2. I'm ready for 1. I prayed for 1.
Yeah.
But once that soaked in, I realized God gave me 2 for a reason.
Yeah. What do you think that reason was?
I believe that I've lost too much in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, wow. Like I always tell women, I said, I didn't want to do a DNC because it messes up your uterus, chances of having children. And so what I did was do it supposedly the old school way where you just pop a pill. I would never advise anybody to take that pill. You go into full birth, and I had to flush my baby because I don't look at it as a embryo. I look at it as my baby, my child. I had to flush that baby 3 months into the toilet. You know what I mean? Yeah. Wow. And so that was one of those moments where I went into depressed mode. And that's why I had to open that Bible. Yeah. Because I'm like, God, like what just happened to me, I do not deserve that, you know? And so that itself is a whole nother story. Oh my God, just the experience. So I always tell women, you know, just make sure you get a DNC if the baby dies in your womb, because I don't think you'll be mentally ready, because I wasn't. They told me, take this pill, you'll be fine. Like you won't feel it. No, honey, I went into full labor. Like I felt my whole body, like everything, like the back pains. It was something I would never experience, you know? Yeah. Because I had all C-sections. So that was the first time I went through full contraction and giving birth, but couldn't be able to see my child. You know what I mean?
Do you think that these seasons of your life, a couple of things I thought of as you were speaking. First, let me finish that thought. Do you believe that these seasons of your life push you harder now? That's a question. In all of your pursuits, in all of the things. If so, why? Like, what were those principles that you learned in those seasons that you applied to your life now that push you forward? That's one question. The comment that I quickly want to make is that oftentimes God responds to sacrifice.
Yes.
Right. And to your point is that you said, if God, you give me a child, I'll offer this child to you to ensure that this child believes in you and walks out the legacy of, yes, my family, but for your kingdom's sake. Yes. So God often responds to the sacrifice. The other element that I wanted to make mention of that I hope and pray someone captures from this recording is that you said that it wasn't a curse. It just wasn't your blessing.
Yes.
Right. And many people believe that because they don't receive something someone else receives, is that they're cursed.
Yeah,
they're not cursed. It's just that blessing isn't intended for you.
Yes.
God has various and different blessings for different folks. And so I just wanted to say that because many people need to hear that. But there's these struggles. Now, we're staying on this motherhood topic, and prayerfully we get through everything. But this is, I believe, very critical for a lot of people, because a lot of people may not know that part of your story. I had no clue that the story was that in depth.
Yes.
But what are you taking from that applies to now? Like, what keeps you motivated? To your point, certain people would have been out their mind, depressed.
Yeah.
You know, but what kept you motivated? And then also, what principles do you take from that situation that you apply to real life now, or to life now, not real life, life now?
The first thing is faith, having faith in a higher power. Because sometimes people want to say, like, I'm a king, I'm a queen, you know, and I'm God. But if you were God, you can create so much.
Yeah.
You can't. You know what I mean? Yeah. You are a human. God created us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So for me, it was having faith in him, knowing that whatever I was going through was just an experience, a lesson to be learned, right? Because the next woman that is going to go through what I went through, I can be there for her if she's not as strong in the mind as I was.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
That's really good. Yes.
So I just felt like in some way I had to sacrifice, like, you know, be crucified for my moment in order to help the next woman.
Yes.
The next woman. Because not everybody is going to have faith in God like I do.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, that's
so
real.
I felt like I had to take one for the team.
Yeah.
In order to be able to help other women understand they're not alone.
Yeah. So talking about helping other people.
Yes.
Let's talk about your role as a gang interventionist.
Yes.
What can you tell us about this and what motivated your involvement?
Okay. So let's start from the beginning before gang intervention, like, you know, make it short and sweet. I am considered a second generation gang member. My mom was from 18. My dad was from Lenox. So growing up, born and raised in Inglewood, especially in the 80s and the 90s, were a hell of a experience. And so I didn't grow up with regular parents, right? You know, they had jobs, but they were ex-gang members. You know what I mean? And in my childhood, my younger childhoods, they were considered still active, you know? And so growing up in that environment, Inglewood didn't have resources for low-income families. They had a YMCA on the other side of town, which we consider, like in the gang mentality, Inglewood Trese's territory, or, you know, or the Legend Crips territory, right? So I grew up in Lock Haven, which is by Morningside. So if you know about Morningside area, you know the Crenshaw Mafias are there, and you know the 18th Streets are there. You know what I mean? And so there was nothing in our community on our side of Inglewood. So I remember in the second grade, the teacher asked me, Raina, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to be the president of the United States or a ballerina. I don't know how they got crossed in together, but it came out my mouth. And so I felt that if they had a after-school program for low-income families or free programs of ballerinas or a dance studio, I would have never joined a gang. You know, so that is the truth. You know, like if I would have been busy with something productive and knew my purpose early at a young age, then I wouldn't have never experienced none of that. But here we go again with, I got to take one for the team, right? I have to go through all this bad experience in order to be able to inspire others who are living it right now, to let them know like there's something greater than losing your life for a neighborhood. You know what I mean? And so I lived that life, and I fell in love in senior year with an enemy, considered an enemy. Obviously, he is an enemy, but he was an enemy to me, right? Because I fell in love. Yeah. And so he was from Inglewood Trece. And it was a situation that happened. He was supposed to pick me up on 104th in Yukon, which was kind of like neutral ground. I mean, it's gangs everywhere, but it was a neutral ground of passing, right? Just passing through. That's a neutral ground. And he decided to come all the way down Yukon inside in front of Morningside, bumping Mac 10 with a lowrider. And so he was supposed to take me when he exited, because all my homeboys jumped the fence on, you know, by 106 in Yukon. And he was supposed to not do that. He was just supposed to meet me at the corner. I was supposed to go, you know, jump the gate and then, you know, go on a date or whatever. But that wasn't the case. So he basically almost cost me my life because of his pridefulness. And so instead of, when he went in front of Morningside, he should have went towards Century. But instead he went back to Yukon, hitting the switches and throwing up Inglewood and everything. So that day pretty much almost cost me my life. And because of that situation, I was almost killed by my own homeboy. Wow. And that's where it all changed for me. Not that I hated my neighborhood, because I knew what happened, and what happened, only I could feel God spared me. I didn't even get a beat down. It was kind of like the main head at the time, you know, spoke to my mom, and, you know, the discussion was pretty much like, Raina's, you know, loyal to her people. You know, she just fell in love, you know, and just let it go. And so they did, except for that one homeboy. He didn't let that grudge go at all. And so that's where the journey of me saying, okay, well, if I got to watch my back on my enemies and my own homeboys, you know what I mean? Like, what's the purpose? And during the 90s, like the late 90s, that's when homeboys start killing a lot of their own people. So it's kind of like, man, this is crazy. And so I didn't share this experience with everybody at the moment, you know, and God spared me. God spared me in that situation. And so when I graduated from Morningside in 97, in 1999, that's when I became a gang interventionist before the name was even created. So I started to come back into the community in my hood to give back and to make change. And so that's where the gang intervention started. And I've been doing it ever since. and I'm still currently in the gang intervention field. And because I have a license to operate and I am a certified gang interventionist, you know, right now I'm working in the Crenshaw district with developing options, and I'm doing case management. But because of my lifestyle in the past, you know, and the experience, I will always be a gang interventionist because that's just who I am. You know what I mean? It's a part of me. No matter if I'm an author, right, in the near future, no matter if I become the next mayor of Inglewood in the future, I'm going to always be that gang interventionist.
Is that what gives you the safe space to talk about past experiences? Like, not to go deep into it, especially in this episode, which is a whole nother episode.
Yes.
But it's like, what makes it safe? Oftentimes, those who are not in the life, we hear like, you can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you got, like, for example, I can't say the person that did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I can share my story because it's a testimony. You know what I mean? A lot of people, like, I tell people this. Yes, you have to be careful what you say. You damn right. You know, there's a program out there that run things, you know, and you have to be very careful. But in the way that I speak about my life is more of a testimony, you know, sharing my testimony, not saying this is who did it.
Right.
You know
right.
what I mean?
Somebody else.
Yeah. Like you can't do that.
Yeah.
But I do want to share how God is good, because the person that tried to kill me, I believe 2 years ago, we saw each other. And before that day, it's crazy how God works. I was at church and we were working on forgiveness. And my pastor was saying, if you want to run for mayor, you have to start forgiving people because you're blocking your blessing. There's like a spiritual energy, right? And so I put his name on that paper. He was the first name on that paper. And I felt like God was like, I'm a tester. Because that day in the morning, when I put his name in church for the, you know, to forgive, that night I went to a quinceañera and I saw him and nobody didn't tell me he got out. Wow. Now that experience was interesting because it was a weird, like,
Do you talk?
No. Well, after that situation, we saw each other, I think a year later or 2 years later at a funeral. And, you know, everybody was like, don't trip. He ain't going to disrespect you here. You know, it's a funeral, blah, blah, blah. But at the time in my brain, I'm like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not scared. I have no fear in me. But he shook my hand. And that's where I tell people, if you are a true believer in Christ, this is where he says, turn the other cheek. You know what I mean? Like, you said you're going to forgive him. You wrote his name. You saw him the same night. You wasn't feeling it. You weren't feeling it. Like, I don't really forgive this guy. But I had to deal with that healing process of, I need to forgive him because he was under the influence. You know what I mean? He wasn't sober. He was under the influence. And I just have to call it what it is. This is gang politics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I have to just know that God is saying to turn the other cheek for a reason. And so at the funeral, I was able to turn the other cheek because when he walked up to me, I was expecting something negative. But God showed me, this is what I wanted you to experience, to trust in me, that he can work in his mind and he can work in my mind to where I can forgive the person that tried to kill me. You know what I mean? And I did. And so, you know, it was kind of awkward, but I feel good in a space with him now, meaning like if I saw him, I could say, hello, how you doing? You know what I mean? So, yeah, so forgiveness is really important. And I'm happy that I did turn the other cheek and shook his hand and forgave him. And we hugged and it was just so awkward. But now I understand. What a Christian is truly supposed to be. Wow, man. Because it only takes God to do that, because a person's ego, pride can get you in trouble. You know what I mean?
Jeez. So out of all of that, I mean, this is, again, I believe the story of one who's lived the gang life
Yes.
in the city of LA, in the city of Inglewood.
Yes.
I mean, that's again, as we said, a podcast for itself
Yeah.
because it can help so many people.
Yes.
I can only imagine it's even just very quickly on this is that my wife experiences a lot of students, parents at her school who are apparently bangers. I mean, we really, no way to validate it, but now it's influencing the kids.
Yes.
Right? To where the kids are throwing up stuff, saying certain things because of affiliation. And so I believe that even a recording of some sort of, or some way to express the story in discretion and, depending on how much can be told, etc., but can help the younger people, which is why you're a gang interventionist, right?
Yes.
Like helping the young people to realize that a lot of the experiences or mistakes that they're making now won't matter in the future, because prayerfully they'll end up in your situation, meaning that they're shaking the hand of the enemy.
Yes.
But the hand of the handshake is a handshake of forgiveness.
Yes.
That's what we need to get to. I think that youth are carrying so much. They're carrying so much influence. They're carrying so much depression and anxiety because of what they're experiencing at home. And they don't know a safe way to release the forgiveness. That's, I believe, what we're trying to get to. And again, I believe we need to have more conversations surrounding this to let people know that it is safe to have that conversation.
Yeah.
I want to touch on something, especially we have so much to go through. We're going to try to hammer this out hopefully in the next 5 minutes or so. But I want to skip over the entrepreneurial part and I'll come back to that in closing.
Okay.
But I want to spend some time on the city of Inglewood.
Yes.
And understanding with your past running of mayor, that's a huge responsibility. It's a huge...
I couldn't believe I can't believe to this day that I ran, okay? So I'm just like, man, Rainy from Inglewood, mayor Inglewood, what the heck?
But you did it though.
Yes, I did.
You ran the race and you ran it with such a pure heart. And you said it from the very beginning in your intro is that you have a good heart. One of the things I want to ask you is, do you ever feel that in the city of Inglewood that a good heart has no place? Especially understanding our political climate in the city of Inglewood. Do you ever feel as though a good heart has no place? That you got to have some type of ruthlessness inside of you to be in that role as mayor of Inglewood or in any role in LA, hell?
I think a good heart is important, especially for your community. Being mayor is a title, but sometimes people take their title a little bit too serious. You know what I mean? Meaning as in their title. Like they abuse that title. They use that title for control and power. But in reality, a mayor is a servant that works for their community. Do you hear what I'm saying? So as a Christian, I say being mayor for me is to be a servant. In order to be a servant, you have to be humble and you have to have a good heart to listen, to have town hall meetings, not to get punked at a city meeting that's supposed to be for your residents. You hear what I'm saying? And so having a heart doesn't make you a weenie, you know what I mean? Or a wussy. Because at the end of the day, when I think about Jesus, I know Jesus had a good heart. He had good intentions. But he flipped that table for a reason, right? Okay. So I can flip a table too.
A couple of them.
Yes. I can flip tables. But I choose to have a good heart and do things with good intentions and with love. You can't go wrong with love. You know what I mean? So having a good heart is love. So I believe the city of Inglewood needs that big heart because a lot of our community people in Inglewood feel they don't have a voice. So if they don't have a voice, and then you look at the numbers, you know, in 2018, our mayor had like almost 18,000 votes, right? And then in 2022, it dropped down to like 10,000 something, right? So people are showing through their votes, even though he still won, right? Because he still has fans. But the reality is people are not happy. But one thing also is Inglewood is predominantly Latino.
Yeah.
And Latinos don't vote because they feel that politics is black and white only. They don't care about the immigrants. They don't care about the brown people. So if the Latinos would vote, it would have been a different outcome.
A drastic outcome.
Man, it would have been a bigger
So what
outcome.
happens now? So for whether you choose to run again in what,
2026.
2026?
I'm gonna run again.
Look, loud and clear on the podcast.
I'm ready.
right?
I got one more fight one more fight in me. Like Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
Got one more fight. But
Okay.
this time it's not because of my dream.
That's good.
Yeah. The first time was because I was 15 at Morningside telling Mayor Dorn and Chief Ronald Banks, I'm tired of police brutality, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to be mayor of Inglewood one day.
Wow.
How was that possible when I was creating obituaries in junior high at Monroe?
Wow.
For me, that was God speaking
Wow.
for me
Yeah.
without me even knowing, because he already knows my blueprint on this earth. So now I'm in alignment with God. And I'm like, all right, God, I'm scared. I'm going against a Goliath.
So I made a post about this the other day.
Man.
Said we have to stand on our values
Yes.
and not be afraid to slay the giant.
Yes.
So with you not running for your dream this time,
Yeah.
that's
For the community
huge.
now.
Wow. Like, I believe that should resonate with somebody.
Yes.
Our intentions are often, for whatever we do, is because we want to accomplish
Something.
yes, whatever that is.
Mhm.
And so to your point, from president to ballerina to now mayor to in police brutality,
Yes.
etc., is you're no longer running a campaign for your dream, but for the community.
Yes.
What's that one thing that, as we begin to bring this to a close, what's that one thing as you were running for mayor this previous campaign season that you learned that you would do differently for 2026?
I would say I need a person to help me raise funds, because if I would have had $100,000, I would have had a better outcome.
What would you apply the funds to?
It would be the mailers, because I needed $30,000 for the mailers and I didn't have it. I did not have it. And that was in the beginning, to let people know
That you're actually running.
like this young lady is running. And that's why it was important for me, because I'm very realistic. Some African Americans aren't ready for a brown person to come into office.
Yeah.
And I've experienced by knocking on doors that. And like I always tell people, I don't let 2 or 3 bad experience make me look at the whole race as this is how they all think about me. I don't. But as knocking on the doors, I experienced it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't take offense, because I read The Bait of Satan. And it's a book that's about taking offense. So thank God I read that book way before running. And it helped me not to take offense on what was, kind of said to me. And but I knew that in my website, I wanted to be proud to show people, yes, I carry my father's last name. He's Mexican. And yes, I carry a Spanish name. You know what I mean? But I don't forget my Creole roots.
Yeah.
I don't. And my Creole roots represent my African blood, my French blood, my Native American blood, my Spanish blood, and all of the rest of the stuff that I mix with, according to Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
Lord, I'm a gumbo myself. And so I wanted for people to know that I am that black and brown woman put together that wants to see everybody, all cultures in the city of Inglewood, be one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All equality.
Yeah.
And so I just felt that if I would have had that money, then more people would have knew who I was by the website, because I only had $8,000 from a union, and that was the mailers at the end. And then when I start trying to finish off the 4,000 knocking on doors, because I've knocked on 4,000 doors. And so some of the people are like, oh man, I already mailed out my stuff. If I would have known you were running, I would have voted for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, who did you vote for? I voted for the current mayor. It's okay. It's all right. It's all good, because that's, but
That's what people know.
yeah, that's what people know. And so for me, it's just like, I would need to raise that $100,000 to be more successful. But I also have more people that are backing me now for part 2, because the first time around, it was kind of like, is she really doing it? People were watching. They were supporting a little bit, but they were watching more.
Yeah.
But I think this time around, they're like, oh, no, you got to win. Yeah. Like, no, like you went through the fire. Yeah. You got to win this time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like I said, having a big heart, I was able to meet the other candidates. And I'm cool with Miss Dixon, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm cool with Miss Walker, you know? So it's like I'm a person that I don't look at us as competition, even though that's what is looked upon to people on the outside looking in. But I looked at them as women that had a mission. Yeah. The same mission that I had. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a phenomenal group of women.
Yes, yes.
And I believe that now, as we begin to bring this to a close, I hear a couple of things. One is that you have a goal to reach $100,000 for your mayoral campaign. Yes. Again, y'all heard it on the I Just Want to Record podcast. That she is running for 2026 mayoral position for the city of Inglewood. So we have a goal of 100,000. And with that goal, is there any other way that people can help you in any regard, from the mayoral race to your entrepreneurial ventures to your motherhood? How else can people help you? That's the one question. The final question we'll end on is, what has been your greatest contribution to society? If you can give that to us in 30 seconds.
Okay. So how you can help me is through my nonprofit, the Phoenix Rising Coalition. And you can follow me on Instagram, which is Raina for Inglewood, RAINAFOR Inglewood. And you can reach out to me. You can also help me by getting life insurance. You know what I mean? We're living in a crazy times where, you know, people are not making it to the next day. And so it's important to leave a legacy, or to not have a financial burden of stressing out of, you know, burying a loved one, when you can mourn and have a policy to just, you know, give it to the mortuary and grieve normal versus stressing and GoFundMe and everything. Yeah. How you can help me with the campaign is just, you know, inbox me at Raina for Inglewood. I need volunteers more than anything. If you want to host an event, I would love that. Also, I would like to share, and hopefully we can put a link in, but running for mayor, I have a debt. And so I have to pay that debt from the 2022. And if anybody is willing to help me pay the debt, so then I can close my committee in order to open a new one to run for mayor in 2026, that would be a true blessing. I believe I owe 10 grand, and I have a little minor issue, but I know God is going to resolve that. And it's with a business, but it wasn't me signing a document. It was actually the campaign manager I, you know, let go. And so, but that's my priority for 2024, is to pay that campaign debt, so then I can run for office again, and with a clean slate. Okay. And last but not least, the last question was
your greatest contribution to society.
My greatest contribution to society is being a community leader, from COVID to delivering food to the elderly people. You know what I mean? Yeah. For me, trying to help a person that's coming out of prison get a construction job and get on their feet and open a bank account. Wow. You know, start their, you know, get their first credit card with the Water and Power Credit Union. That's the best credit union ever. Yeah. And seeing them 12 months later purchase a brand new car through that credit union. Man, I've done so much, you know, man, so much that all I could just say is my contribution is being a community leader.
That's great. That's great. This has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining us on the I Just Want to Record podcast. Until next time, I'm Matthew Newman, the host, and this is my guest, Raina Carrillo. Hope you all are able to tap into the audio or the video of the I Just Want to Record podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the I Just Want to Record podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow so that we can inspire more people just like you. Until next time, I'm Matthew Newman, aka Mr. Catch on Fire, signing off.
You're really good. You need to be like, Oprah needs to be like, oh, I'm serious.
I love asking questions.
No, you're amazing. Like me, I do it because it's like I just want to help tell their story. You know, share your. You know, I want to share your story. You know, talk about you.
Yeah.
But you're a natural.
I appreciate that.
Like I love it. I'm like, damn. You got me ready for the big time.
Look, I love, like, this is always an outlet for me. And
always speak from my heart.
That's
all I know how to do is speak from my heart.
That's all.
Because people even say, like, ghetto ass Rainy gonna be Inglewood for mayor. You know, I always tell people, I said, God knows my heart.
Yeah.
And God is going to place people with big degrees that I can hire to help me make the right decisions.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to have 12 disciples.
Come on.
Before I make decisions.
Yep.
And I mean like 12 disciples, one parent, one youth, somebody from the community that is a business owner that lives in Inglewood, and bam, 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 and my mentors.
Yeah.
Like, so God already told me, it was like, and then my mom said, well, maybe you don't want 12 disciples because that's a Judas in there somewhere. I said, it's okay. I said,
Judas was important. We discount Judas.
I said, but it's okay. I said, because Pastor Mel can tell me who the Judas is. And then we just got our eye on Judas.
Look, Judas was essential.
And then sometimes we can have the meeting without Judas. Just have Judas around when we need to do like community stuff.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so that's why I said, like, God knows.